Hello there! You're watching WilhelMiniatures. In this episode I will try something weird and different using these horrible toy dinosaur skeletons. I recently watched an episode of Drawfee where they did a drawing challenge where each of them picked an animal skull and tried to draw what they thought the animal would look like based only on the skull. And I think that would be very fun to do, so I will try to do the same with sculpting. What I think I want to do with this T-Rex is to sculpt what the human would look like if they had a skeleton like this. So I have Mr. Anatomy guy here, and I will keep him close by so that I can have a look from time to time at the different muscle groups that I want to sculpt. So first I just want to put down some muscles around the neck, I think. Things. So it needs some... actually, I don't think I want this this exact pose. I think it looks very stressed, so what I will do is, for the time being, just cut off its arms and then reattach them later. It's fine that the shoulders point downwards like this, but this just gives me easier access for the chest area. I think I want the arms to, be hanging downwards, but I'll reattach them when I get there. So this is very weird because the shoulders are kind of tilting forwards, but I still want the chest muscles to be there. So let's put in two big blobs, and then over the chest muscles should be like the deltoid muscle. Is that what it's called? The shoulder muscle. But of course the shoulder muscle is pointing much more forward than on a human, so that's going to look very funny when it's when it's finished. Another weird thing is that the rib cage goes all the way down here, so the stomach is actually just this small part all the way down there, while for the human the rib cage goes like this. I guess I'll just have to make up some muscles to go down here. Alright, now let's just go for abs, I guess from here, so over the ribs. And then the last abs can be stretched so that it's kind of still quite thin, because it looks like this one would be kind of skinny. So of course if this turns out not as I want it, I am of course going to give it some fat and skin, so that might cover up everything. To make everything smoothish, smooth something, and add a little bit of texture, I'm just stippling it with my stiff old brush. It might have been easier and more fun to do this with a nicer skeleton, because the legs and arms on this one are just so thick that it's ridiculous. Anyway, I want to make this one more human-ish, as I've already done on the torso, so let's give it some big thighs. What I think I'm going to do is just lay down muscles. I did a bit more details on the torso with some stripes and some texture, but what I think will work is actually just put down the muscles and then add a layer of skin later. So I think I'm going to do the rest a little bit rougher than what I did on the torso. And as these bones are so crazy thick down here, I might also not add muscles to the entire thing and just have a thin layer of skin on top of it. What if when the first dinosaur skeletons were discovered and we tried to redesign them and we thought that they were the remains of giants or titans, like humanoid beings? I wonder how they would look. Maybe this is a good representation of that, trying to add human anatomy and human muscles on top of this kind of skeleton. I mean, a lot of dinosaur designs are guesswork. Previously, or when I grew up, we thought that all dinosaurs were like lizard kind of creatures with scales and reptile kind of looks, but now we have figured out that some dinosaurs are much closer to birds and probably had feathers and stuff, so what if the first designers went with a different route and didn't think that they would have scales, but instead thought that they would have like human skin or human muscles? Because I'm going to cover all of this with a layer of skin, I think I can get away with some pretty rough texture under it. So I'm going to try to go over it with a toothbrush to make all of these tiny, tiny holes or pores. Some of it might show through the skin, which might be a cool effect. I think I'm going to try to tackle the face or head next, but I'm not completely sure how to do it. So it's got like 3 pairs of skull holes, eyes, nose, and skull holes, I guess. I don't know, but the point is that I can probably place the eyes either back here where they're supposed to be, in this middle one, or actually all the way in the front here, and still have it look more or less like a creature. But I can't decide where to put the eyes, so I've decided to roll a dice to see. So let's say that 1 and 2 is the front, 3 and 4 is back here, and 5 and 6 are the big ones. 2, so that's all the way in the front here. Probably the strangest and hardest thing to pull off, but you know, the die has spoken. I already knew that this was going to be a weird one, but this is even weirder than what I was first thinking. So let's have a small nose back here, some beautiful big lips. Trying to just exaggerate the lip shape because it won't close with the lower lip. So I think I kind of need the lip to go all the way back and show the teeth in the back as well. And this is the holes for the eyes. So the eyes were supposed to go here. I mean, if you found a dinosaur skull and you didn't know what, for example, or how animal skulls worked, it wouldn't be possible to place the eyes in a different place than where they're supposed to be. Human skulls are pretty straightforward as they kind of look like a face, but some animal skulls are extremely weird with like different holes all over. I need to do this with an elephant at some point because elephant skulls are insane looking. See if we can give it some eyelids. I filled the original eyes with some putty, and I think I just want them to be some visible organ or something, because this creature is definitely going to be an alien monster thing, so yeah. But I don't want to cover all of this with the muscles and skin. I kind of want the structure of the skull to still be visible so that you can see the original thing. I'm just making up some muscles on the back here to tie everything together. I like using pure milliput when I'm filling areas on a miniature, because milliput mixes with water and it's very easy to get it into the recesses and the areas you want it. Push it in with some water and kind of just mix it in there basically. I also like to use my fingers with a lot of water and try to push the milliput in where I want it. Milliput is a little bit softer than green stuff, so yeah, at least until it starts to cure. So instead of dabbing it with toothbrush, I'm using some paper towel, curled up paper towel instead, which also soaks up the moisture so that I don't get water everywhere. Yeah, I think I'm done with adding muscles, so now I'm going to start applying some skin. And for that I will be using toilet paper and Mod Podge. So now I'm just tearing up the toilet paper into little pieces, and I want to have all the edges of the paper to be very rough. So I'm tearing them up in circles like this, trying not to have any of these straight lines included in the pieces. I have my Mod Podge and water and the brush, and let's start with a smaller piece like this. I'm also going to stipple my brush over it to make sure that I don't have... So the toilet paper that I'm using has these heart shapes with a lot of dots, and I don't want these dots to be present. I can see some of them still visible here, but as I stippled the brush over it, they disappeared. Oh, the details like this, it's just going to be so much fun to dry brush these folds. I left the toilet paper and glue to dry overnight, and it's starting to look quite good, I think. I really like all these folds that you get in the toilet paper, which really look like some nasty veins. I kind of like the face, the front of the head. Face, it kind of looks like some anime monster. But with the elongated head and like the brain window, it's still kind of looks a lot like the eye is back here, some kind of fly eye, and that this is more of a nose part. So I think I want the back to look more like a head. So I'm going to give it some hair. And for that I will be using a feather. Perfect. Now it's done. This feather is too large, so I'm going to cut it down a little bit with my clippers. And I want to trim it a bit before getting it into place. I'm going to attach the back with a tiny piece of super glue and then come back to hide the attachment point with some more feathers, I think, or some more feather pieces. I want it to look like some wet and long hair hanging down over the sides of the head. Now that I look at it, I guess I should have done this after painting, because these strains are very thin and they are already quite dark, so the brown could have been a nice first color for the hair. This is a piece of polymer clay that I made as a base for actually another project, but I think the size is suitable for this one. So it's going to get a little display base instead of a gaming base. The final step is to give this creature a coat of paint. And there we have it. I hope you enjoyed watching this weird creature coming to life. If you did enjoy the video, please like and subscribe to my channel. I will see you guys next week in another episode.